Welcome back, everyone. This is Stephen, and we're excited to have you back. We know it's been a minute since our last episode that we released, but we have some really exciting updates to share with you today. But, first, before we hop into some of the logistics of the podcast, Britt thought we would get just a quick update on kind of your experience of being a Super Bowl champion now, and winning a Super Bowl was like, I guess a year in review recap of what that experience was like this year.
Yeah. Well, first of all, welcome back, everybody. It has been some time. We've been a little busy. Super Bowl, and I had another kid, so within like a week of each other. So both things were pretty crazy. But it was incredible. Obviously, we lost to the Chiefs couple of years ago, so it felt good to beat them finally there, and I feel kind of spoiled, in my first 3 years in the league, being able to go to 2 Super Bowls and win one. And anyways, just such a fun year, fun experience. Sadly, I was injured, so I had to be on the sideline for the game, but still didn't really take away from the experience and just how special it was, how fun of a team it was to be a part of.
I guess, and this goes back, Britt, to even your first year, the first year you're in the league and made it to the Super Bowl. How surreal is that experience, right? You grow up, you and I both grow up loving football and watching the Super Bowl all these years. I mean, and I know it's kind of a silly question, but it's like, does it even feel real in that moment? Like when you're there, like is it just kind of like, how is this possible? Is this real? Especially your first Super Bowl where you played and you had a really good punt return. How do you articulate that part of it?
Well, honestly, I would say it felt more real this time because I wasn't as nervous, because I wasn't suiting up with the injury. And so I was able to take it all in. But yeah, when I played the first time, it felt more like a concert than a game. It's just everyone in the crowd, obviously so many celebrities and things, but everything just felt so much more like a performance of a concert than it did an actual football game. And I think I realized the grand scope of things when I had to do 50 Spanish interviews for every country in South America. And I realized how much media was there. It wasn't just America, it was every country in the world would send at least one representative. And so you'd have to do interviews from pretty much every country's media rep. And that's kind of when it was real to me, the scope of things. But it was, when I was playing, I purposely didn't take it all in because I feel like I would have psyched myself out a little bit.
Right.
But this last time I did.
That's awesome. So one of the things I'll just share with our listeners, one of the really cool things that Britain did this Super Bowl this time around was one of my sons, one of my kids, who's 5 years old, he's in kindergarten. They were reading a book called Flat Stanley, and you can look it up, but essentially it's the story of this character, this individual who they flatten out and then they send him through like the post office through the mail. So it's just kind of a fun story. And so they, as kindergartners, they did this kind of fun activity where they say, hey, mail Flat Stanley to one of your relatives somewhere in the world and have the relative like take some pictures or a video of them exploring somewhere else in the world. So we had the idea of, hey, what if Flat Stanley went to the Super Bowl? How cool would that be? So Britain was nice enough to, we shipped off Flat Stanley to Britain, and he was nice enough to take Flat Stanley around as the Super Bowl. So I'm actually going to show a fun little clip here. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can actually see it. But in this clip here, this is Flat Stanley in the team bus on the way to the game, which I just found this so hilarious.
So I heard that there's a new player suiting up for the game. His name's Flat Stanley.
Check him out, guys. Check him out.
He might be the best in the world.
That's awesome. So again, if you're on YouTube, you can actually look at this. But there's a picture of Flat Stanley and Britain right before the Super Bowl. So yeah, it was really fun from that little video you saw or heard. Just having Flat Stanley be a part of that, and then my son was able to go to his class, and we created this poster board for him of how Flat Stanley went to the Super Bowl and had these pictures. I don't know if the kindergartners truly appreciated how unique that was.
Yeah.
But did any of your teammates like see you like having Flat Stanley around and being like, what's going on?
Absolutely. And for the privacy of some of my more high profile teammates, I didn't, share the pictures with them, but they thought it was pretty funny. Maybe Flat Stanley needs to be one of the paradigm shifting books. But
yeah,
it was fun. I should have taken some videos in the celebration, in the post game locker room with Flat Stanley with the champagne. I don't know if
the
the kindergartners would have appreciated that.
That's probably smart. So that was a lot of fun. So Brett, thank you for taking Flat Stanley and making a really memorable experience. But
yeah.
Anyways, getting into kind of what we're calling this a relaunch of the podcast. So this show, Paradigm Shifting Books, initially started off as just a solo effort by me. So years ago, I started this, had an idea, kind of ran with it. Life got busy. And so I paused. And then last year, was talking with Britain and saying, I want to get Paradigm Shifting Books going again. This is a really important project to me personally. I want to get going. And we kind of talked about it. We're like, well, why don't we do it together? It'd be kind of fun to do this podcast together and kind of have the two different perspectives of, again, I've had a traditional corporate career, and then Britain being a professional athlete. Maybe that would bring some unique perspectives to a podcast like this where we're talking about these paradigm shifting books. So one of the things that what we did is we relaunched, talking about relaunch, we already relaunched it with Britain. Yeah, with Britain joining as co-host. But it was kind of like okay, let's just do it together and launch it. But we were not super intentional about it, I guess you could say. And so what this relaunch is all about now is just bringing more intention to this podcast. And that's really the big thing behind it. So we're going from really having no schedule before, where it was kind of sporadic on our episodes, where now we're really shooting to have a weekly episode that we release on the podcast, and being more consistent and intentional. That's really what this relaunch is about. It's not about, we're not doing something completely different. It's the same concept. We're just bringing more intention, essentially, is kind of what we're doing.
Yeah, we've got an agency working with us now. I think when we started it, especially when you started it honestly was more of a hobby, something that was so interesting to us and fun. And I shied away from the idea of it initially simply because especially athletes, every athlete and their dog has a podcast. Like and it's not like I'm some special athlete or anything. It's like, why do I have my own podcast? But I think the hurdle that I had to get over was, I do think there are a lot of people interested in this. At least that's the feedback we've gotten. It's a unique angle, and I think it's fun. And so there's a part of me that's almost shy about sharing it as if I have a podcast kind of thing. It's more of a hobby, but I really do enjoy sharing it too. And so I have jumped over that hurdle, and I know you have too, Stephen. And we are going to be more consistent with it, more intentional, because people like it. And I think it is something worth sharing. So if you ever sense that, please forgive my shyness, I guess I would say, my a little bit of, hesitancy to share it as if, promoting a podcast. It just doesn't feel 100% natural to me. And, but I'm excited to, and I feel really genuine about this. So we'll be consistent and intentional, and we hope you guys follow along. We're going to be very, intentional about our Instagram page, about our YouTube channel, and different things we're going to be doing to make it look nice and hopefully not overload people with content. The goal is to just share things that we think will, even if it's small things, will brighten people's day. We have lots of great insights from these authors and quotes and things that we'll share that even if you don't listen to full episodes of the podcast, if you follow us along, I think these little nuggets of wisdom will be very influential and transformative for you. So we really hope you follow along and join us on this ride that we may not even feel the most comfortable in. So
I can completely relate to what Britton is saying. I'm actually most of my career has been in sales and sales leadership. So it's kind of a career that demands being maybe more outgoing, but I'm actually naturally more of like a private person. So it's been really interesting doing a podcast when you have kind of that sense of like, I'd rather just be private. But as Britton mentioned, it's something that I feel just really strongly about, passionate about. I felt years ago that this was something I needed to do. So it's hard for me too, where it's like, I'm private, even online. Like I don't like sharing stuff. So it's kind of this weird thing we're dealing with where we want people to listen and we want people to follow the podcast, but kind of shy away from self-promotion. So we got to find a balance somehow of growing the podcast, but not in a way where, we're not trying to be some figureheads. I don't know the right way to articulate it. Other than we're just passionate about this project. So kind of initially what we're going to do is we're going to revisit the 15 books and authors that we've done so far. And that's going to kind of be part of the relaunch. So, again, authors like Daniel Pink, Charles Duhigg, Angela Duckworth, Greg McEwen and his book Essentialism, and kind of building off, speaking of essentialism, kind of what we're going to do in these first 15. I don't think re-release is the right word, but basically we're going at the content and looking at it like less but better, essentially. So some of these episodes, at least initially, we're going to redo some of the books, but it's not in the traditional way we've done it before. It's in a more intentional way as we're talking about. So that's what we'll do initially is go back through the 15 books and then get back into the ultimate goal of reviewing 40 books that everyone should read when it comes to personal and professional development. And that was kind of the where this idea came from for me back in the day. When I was back in college, I was part of a finance class, and I hate finance, by the way, but part of a finance class, and the teacher gave a list of, hey, here's a list of, and I don't know what the number was, but here's a list of 40 books everyone should read when it comes to personal and professional finance. And my initial thought in that class was, oh, this is cool to kind of have a really good, concise list of books. I would love to have a similar list like this, but for personal and professional development. So that's where this initial idea of paradigm shifting books started was, hey, I would love to have a similar list of those books that you could give someone and that they could read or at least explore the core concepts. And we're not saying that, oh, you read these 40 books and you're done for life, you're set for life. This just gives someone a really good foundation for both personal and professional development. And that's kind of our goal and our end in mind. Again, we have to have the authors on so that they articulate. We know that people don't want to just hear from us the whole time. That's the end in mind with this is 40 books. So we've done the 15. We're going to revisit those, and then we're going to go into the additional 25 as part of it. So we're excited for that journey. So maybe Britt, let's talk a little bit about, why have we called it paradigm shifting books? I think the word paradigm sometimes it's like a corporate word now and it gets overused. So I thought it'd be helpful to maybe talk, why do we title it that?
Yeah, I agree. I think that it has become a little bit overused because, our grandfather, Stephen R. Covey, who we'll refer to many times throughout this, he was obviously our biggest inspiration behind all of this. He's had such an impact on both of us personally and professionally. So we call him Papa, if you ever hear us refer to him as Papa. But this was one of his main ideas and concepts that he really started his career with and ran his whole life through this concept of paradigms. And I think that obviously a synonym for it is perspective, but I think it's more powerful than that, where he talked about how shifting your paradigm and the way you view things, the lens that you view the world out of or a problem out of, changes your behavior and the way you live, the way you lead your life far faster, far quicker than a change, focusing on changing your behavior. And I think that was the big, principle behind it. Was it's so easy to just focus on changing your behavior in your life, trying to do this, trying to do that. And he taught that and showed how a change in your paradigm and just the way you view this problem will change your behavior far quicker and far more effective than just focusing on trying to change your behavior. And so these books, we think that we're doing, this list of books offers a change of paradigm in these areas of life that it's a little less intimidating than focusing on all the little things you need to do differently in your life. Is you read this and it gives you a different paradigm way of looking at things that naturally flows out of you and changes the way you go about your life. So I think it's a little less intimidating, but I think it's even more powerful and more effective too. So I think, why hear from us? You can hear from our grandfather himself. We found this clip of him teaching about paradigm. So let's go ahead and listen to it.
I was on a subway, very, very large metropolitan city. Sunday morning, it's quiet, sedate. Bunch of young kids run into the subway. Father follows. He sits near me. The kids just go crazy on that subway, running up and down, turning people's papers aside, just raucous and rude. I'm sitting there, I can't believe this. He does nothing. I look at my attitude, see? Attitude, and try to control. But look what I could see. After a few minutes, attitude went into behavior. Sir, do you think you could control your children a little? They're very upsetting to people. Oh, yeah. He lifted his head as if to come to an awareness of what was happening. Yeah. I don't know. I just guess I should. We just left the hospital. Their mother died just about an hour ago, and I guess they don't know how to take it, and frankly, I don't either. Imagine the paradigm shift that took place there. Imagine now what the attitude and the behavior would be based upon that paradigm. Can you see why paradigms are deeper than attitude or behavior? And even though we're talking here in personal and interpersonal ways, the same thing takes place throughout our whole society. Thomas Kuhn, in his brilliant book, The Structure of Scientific Revolutions, points out so powerfully and consistently all of the significant breakthroughs were breakwiths, old ways of thinking. Einstein, who rewrote physics, he made this brilliant statement: these significant problems we face cannot be solved at the same level of thinking we were at when we created them. You see, it causes us to be reflective and introspective, to explore our own paradigms. Most people focus upon behavior and upon attitude. And both of those are, of course, very important. But far more fundamental than either behavior or attitude is a paradigm.
Yeah, I love hearing Papa's voice. One of my favorite things is having the 7 Habits book on Audible and being able to listen to his voice. But I think he articulated it perfectly. I don't have much to add other than just the idea of a paradigm shift in your life, and that books could potentially be a catalyst for a person to change their whole life just because of an idea. And that is powerful. The other concept that Papa used to talk about was this idea of roots and branches, and that so many people are focused on the branch of a tree versus the root. So I kind of liken it to, a lot of times you hear people talking about, what are the hacks or the tactics to do certain things? And again, in some situations, I think tactics and a hack is fine. But when it comes to things as basic as character and kind of the deep, most important parts of life, that's where you need to focus on the roots and not just the surface level branch. And that's where real transformation happens. So that's what we're trying to focus on with this podcast is what are those paradigms that are potentially life altering, and by seeing something different, your behavior and attitude will automatically change. So again, we're really excited about this and excited to have everyone who's listened before kind of rejoin us on this path, and again in a way that's more intentional and more consistent. And then for those who are first listening, hopefully this has just been kind of a good introduction around what our goal and end in mind is for this podcast. The other thing to mention too is we also have a new website and a newsletter if you want to subscribe to that. Our intention around that is just to, in a way, record as we're going through these books ourselves, what are the key paradigms behind what we're reading, and sharing it from the perspective of someone who's been in a corporate environment and someone who's a professional athlete. So hopefully you find value in that. And we're just excited to have you along this ride, and excited to get back into it.
Yeah, really excited. And seriously, whether you listen to podcasts regularly or not, we hope that you at least join along with us in some form, because our goal is to just bring some of these wonderful perspectives, paradigms into your life, and things that have helped us, things that we've seen have helped millions of people from these books. Perhaps one little bit of wisdom from that can help you lead your life and feel better about yourself as a person and the direction that you're going. So follow us along in some form, at least, we hope, and we'll bring hopefully a little bit of humor and less formality, as well as some great authors, so you don't have to listen to us the whole time.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.